seen it before. I always thought it looked like not that good, so I didn't watch it. But oh my goodness, I'm so invested at this point. I'm 4 seasons in and 1 season into 90 Day Fiancé Happily Ever After. It's consuming, but it's so good. I recently went back and watched Jersey Shore, the Italy season. Italy. Say that 20 times fast. Italy season. I always watch Ghost Adventures. My Saturday video, which I'm going to be filming in the next few days, was inspired by one of the albums that I read off to you in my Spotify. I'm always watching The Twilight Zone. I also thoroughly, for the first time, watched You've Got Mail. I'd seen it, of course, over the years, bits and pieces of it, but I never watched it all the way through. It was a little predictable, but I enjoyed it. Let's look at Disney Plus. I recently watched Heavyweights with Ben Stiller in it. That one's such a classic. Screamed when I saw that they have Roger and Hammerstein's Cinderella with Brandy in it and Whitney Houston from 1997. I had that on VHS and I watched it so many times. I am going to show you some of the movies that I actually found on here on YT that I'm going to be watching. I've added to my playlist because I love really corny 80s and 90s horror. The Langoliers from 1995. I found the entire playlist, all of the episodes of Kingdom Hospital. If you have not seen this, you need to watch this. The next one I didn't even know existed. The Shining. The second one, and it came out in the 90s. I think it was a remake of the original Shining, I think. I haven't watched it yet. In a mini-series version, but it has good reviews, so I'm excited for that. The next one is Ghost Keeper from 1981. The next one looks really corny. Monster in a Closet from 1986. I hate tomatoes. I don't like the taste or the smell of tomatoes. This is called Return of the Killer Tomatoes. Return of the Killer Tomatoes from 1988. And I'm pretty sure it said that George Clooney is in it, so maybe they were lying about George Clooney being in it. I'll watch it either way. The next one is Funeral Home from 1980. Funeral Home. Curtains. And I think it's from the early 90s. Curtains. The Haunting of Seacliff Inn from 1994. The next one is called The Changeling. The Changeling from 1980. I think they might have remade this movie later on. Night Screams from 1987. Night Screams. The Clairvoyant. The Clairvoyant from 1982. Creepers, which I don't know if I'll be able to watch this because I think it's about bugs. I don't remember what year it was from. I am excited to watch those. Also, the audio